I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brethren, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he will speak to them all that I command him. Who is this prophet that the fifth book of Moses is talking about? Our Muslim friends will give us many reasons as to why this verse is referring to Muhammad. Let's listen to the reasoning of one of their leading apologists.
I am here to help the Christians, to make the Christians understand the Bible better.
Please, Dr. Naik, enlighten us.
The first point of the prophecy is that the prophet to come will be amongst the brethren of Moses, peace be upon him. What is the meaning of the word brethren? Brethren means the children of the brothers.
What Dr. Naik is going to say here is that the word brethren is referring to the sons of Ishmael, the Arabs, who are the brethren of the sons of Isaac, the Jews. So this prophet is going to come from the brethren of the Jews, the Arabs. Therefore, the prophet has to be Muhammad.
Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, wasn't a brethren of Moses, peace be upon him. He was a Jew. He was a descendant. He was not a brethren.
According to Dr. Naik, Jesus can't possibly be this prophet that God was going to send because Jesus is a descendant of the Jews, not a brother. He also argues that Jesus is not like Moses, whereas Muhammad is just like Moses. Take a look.
Moses and Muhammad, peace be upon them, both had a mother and a father. Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, had a mother but no father. So Moses and Muhammad, peace be upon them, they are alike. Muhammad, peace be upon him, is like Moses, peace be upon him, and Jesus, peace be upon him, is unlike Moses, peace be upon him.
I know, my friend, I'm just as confused as you are.
Moses and Muhammad, peace be upon them, both were born naturally. Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, was born miraculously. Moses and Muhammad, peace be upon them, both of them, they were married and they had children. But according to the Bible, Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, he was not married, he had no children.
Dr. Naik is right. Deuteronomy 18:18 does say that the prophet will be just like Moses. But he then gives three very poor reasons as to why Muhammad is just like Moses. His first reason is that both Moses and Muhammad had fathers, and Jesus did not. Right, okay. His second reason is that both Moses and Muhammad were born naturally, and Jesus was not. And his third reason is that Moses and Muhammad both were married and had children, and Jesus did not. So, Dr. Naik, could you please explain to us as to why Christians believe that Jesus is the prophet from Deuteronomy 18?
They give us two reasons. Number one, Moses, peace be upon him, was a Jew. Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, was a Jew. Moses, peace be upon him, was a prophet of God, was a spiritual leader. Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, was a prophet of God, was a spiritual leader. These two similarities are sufficient to prove that Jesus, peace be upon him, has been prophesied in Deuteronomy chapter number 18, verse number 18.
Well, doctor, I've got bad news for you. No Christian would use that reasoning to explain why Jesus is in fact the prophet that Deuteronomy 18 is referring to. You gave three reasons for your argument. Now I'll give three reasons for mine. Reason number one. In Deuteronomy 34, we are told that Moses died in the land of Moab. Listen carefully to what the scriptures have to say about Moses here. But since then, there has not arisen in Israel a prophet like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, and by all that the mighty power and all the great terror which Moses performed in the sight of Israel. Since the time of Moses, not a single prophet was able to speak with God face to face and perform miracles like he did. Did Muhammad speak with God face to face? Maybe his wife can answer that question for us. Sahih 48:55. Narrated Masruq, I said to Aisha, O mother, did Prophet Muhammad see his Lord? Aisha said, what you have said makes my hair stand on end. Whoever tells you that Muhammad saw his Lord is a liar. Okay, but what about performing miracles? Ar-Ra'd verse 7. The disbelievers say, if only a sign could be sent down to him from his Lord. But you, O Prophet, are only a warner. So much for being just like Moses. The reality is, Muhammad couldn't perform any miracles. But not only that, Muhammad could also never stand face to face with God. Not back then, and especially not now. Reason number 2. The passage in Deuteronomy 18 actually teaches us that Muhammad would have died for being a false prophet. Take a look. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brethren, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he will speak to them all that I command him. And it will be that whoever will not hear my words, which he speaks in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet shall die. If there was any prophet that spoke in the name of other gods, that prophet would have been killed. Here's a fun little fact about Muhammad. According to Ibn Ishaq, who is a famous Muslim historian from the 8th century, Muhammad spoke in the name of pagan gods. When Muhammad first began preaching in Mecca, his desire was for the locals to accept his message and become Muslims. However, his message was met with a lot of resistance, and as a result, many of his own followers began to abandon him. In his desperation, Muhammad uttered these words. Have you thought of Al-Lat, Al-Uzza, and Manat the third? These are the exalted Gharaniq, a high-flying bird whose intercession is approved. Al-Lat, Al-Uzza, and Manat were some of the idols worshipped in Mecca. Originally, Muhammad spoke against these false gods, but when things weren't going his way, he suddenly changed his mind and approved praying to these idols. In fact, he went as far as describing them as Gharaniq, or birds that could carry one's prayers up to Allah. Do you hear that? That's the sound of Moses picking up stones. The reality is that Moses would have had Muhammad killed for speaking the things he did in the name of other gods. Reason number 3. In the Gospel of John, Jesus had just finished feeding 5,000 men, not counting women and children. This was a miracle because he accomplished it with just 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, and his disciples were still able to gather 12 basketfuls of leftovers. Listen to how the people reacted afterwards. Then those men, when they had seen the sign that Jesus did, said, "This is truly the prophet who is to come into the world." Now, many prophets before Christ performed miracles. In fact, the prophet Elisha performed practically the same miracle as Jesus did. He fed 100 men with just 20 barley loaves and still had some left over. But here's what makes Christ truly unique. Exodus 33 tells us, "So the Lord spoke to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend." This signifies to us the intimate relationship that Moses had with God. However, Christ's relationship with God exceeds just a friendship, in that Christ is one with God. There is only one prophet who knew God face to face, just as Moses did. This prophet performed various miracles. just as Moses did. And he spoke exclusively in the name of the Father in heaven, just as Moses did. This prophet is Jesus, the Son of the Blessed, the Eulogitos. And if you don't know what that means, then you need to watch this video. Until next time, salam.